You didn't arrive here by accident. Something in you was willing to be reached before the day reaches you. There is a very quiet kind of love that finds you in the first moments after sleep, not the loud kind that demands you perform, not the conditional kind that waits until you have done everything right. A quieter love, the kind that simply stays. And I know, some mornings do not feel like love at all. Some mornings you open your eyes and your mind begins listing everything that could go wrong, as if vigilance were love, as if scanning the future for problems could keep you safe, as if being prepared for pain could prevent pain. If that's how your day begins, I want you to hear me gently. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not failing at mornings. You are not too sensitive. You are not behind. You are responding the way you learn to respond, and learning can change. You see, many of us were trained very early to believe we had to earn ease. We had to earn support. We had to earn being taken care of, and so the mind became very busy, very responsible, very alert. But your heart never asked for you to live like you were alone. And today, just for today, we begin differently. Not by forcing happiness, not by pretending everything is fine, not by shoving your fear into a dark corner and calling it positivity. We begin by telling the truth with kindness. If you woke up heavy, that matters. If you woke up tired of carrying it all, that matters. If you woke up with a throat that feels tight and a chest that feels guarded, as if you have already been disappointed before the day even started, that matters. And still, the day does not require you to be hard in order to be handled. I want to tell you a truth your body has been waiting to hear. The day does not require you to be hard in order to be handled. There is a way to move through your hours without bracing your shoulders against the world. There is a way to meet what comes without clenching your jaw. There is a way to live where you feel accompanied, not because everything is perfect, but because you are connected to something steadier than circumstance. And yes, I am speaking about the universe, not as a faraway concept, not as a reward system, but as an intelligence that is woven into life, the kind that arranges timing, closes doors you begged to keep open, and later reveals that the closing was mercy. The kind that sends you an unexpected calm during a moment that should have shattered you. The kind that brings a person, a sentence, a small sign right when you were about to give up on being seen. You may have called those moments random, but your deeper self knows there was a tenderness in that timing. And this morning, you are being invited back into that tenderness. When you learn to start with support, you stop treating life like an argument you have to win. Because many people begin their mornings like they are stepping into a courtroom, ready to defend themselves against the day, ready to prove they are worthy, ready to justify their needs, ready to anticipate criticism, ready to brace for what might fall apart. I soften my inner urgency. I allow support to show up in ordinary ways. I respect my own timing. I do what I can, and I release what I cannot control. I listen to what feels steady. I trust myself to take the next step. Now, notice something. These are not magic words. They are choices. They are directions. They are a way of pointing your mind toward what is nourishing. And when you point your mind toward nourishment, your life begins to feel more nourishing because you start noticing what was already there. Now, let's talk about one more thing that can block the feeling of being guided. The belief that guidance must be dramatic, that it must look like a sudden miracle. But guidance is often practical. It is often quiet. It is often the simplest thing. The simplest thing might be the thought, maybe I don't have to answer that right now. Or, maybe I can do that later. Or, maybe I can ask someone. Or, maybe I can rest. These are guided thoughts because they lead you toward your well-being. And your well-being matters. You matter. Now I want to speak to the part of you that fears trusting life. That part of you that says, if I relax, everything will fall apart. That part of you that thinks control is safety. I understand that part. And we do not need to shame it. We can thank it. And then we can offer it a new experience. We can let it experience one morning where you do not begin in battle. One morning where you begin in companionship. One morning where you begin with a hand on your heart and a slower exhale. And you may discover nothing falls apart. You may discover you handle the day better. You may discover you feel more capable, not less. Because calm is not weakness. Calm is capacity. Now, as we move toward the close, I want you to feel something very important. You are not waiting for support to arrive someday. Support is available in how you meet the day. Support is available in your breath. Support is available in one kind thought. Support is available in the pause before you react. Support is available in your willingness to be honest. Support is available in the courage to set down what is not yours. Support is available in your ability to begin again. And this is the message that has been trying to find you. You are not forgotten. Not by life. Not by the universe. Not by the deeper intelligence that arranges what your mind cannot yet understand. And if today feels ordinary, that does not mean it is empty. Sometimes the universe sends its most personal messages through ordinary mornings, through the quiet moment where you choose not to abandon yourself, through the gentle decision to treat yourself with respect, through the way you breathe and soften and let support in. So carry this with you today. You are allowed to move at the pace of peace. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to fight the day to deserve a good moment. Let today be a day where you practice receiving a little more ease, receiving a little more clarity, receiving help in the forms it arrives, receiving yourself. And as you go, be willing to notice the subtle signs that you are being met, not to obsess over them, just to let them reassure you. A small opening, a gentle timing, a calm yes in your body, a peaceful no, a helpful idea, a moment of relief. These are the universe's quiet language, and you are learning how to hear it. Now go into your day with softness in your shoulders, steadiness in your breath, and a kinder voice inside your mind. But what if your morning could be a soft room instead? What if your first few minutes could be where you remember you do not have to fight for your place in life? What if you could begin as someone who belongs? Let's be very honest. If you have been through a season that made you doubt yourself, you might not trust mornings. If you have been disappointed or blindsided or left holding the pieces, you might wake up with an invisible flinch in your system. You might wake up already thinking, "What now?" And I don't want you to judge that response. I want you to meet it. Because healing does not begin with pressure. Healing begins with recognition. So let's recognize what your mornings have been trying to tell you. Sometimes the morning mind is not actually planning. It is protecting. It is saying, if I stay alert, maybe nothing will surprise me. It is saying, if I think of every outcome, I won't be hurt. It is saying, if I carry everything, maybe I won't be abandoned. And under all that, there is a very tender request. Please, let me feel supported. Can you hear that? Not as weakness, as wisdom. Because your system is wise enough to know it was not built to do life alone. And the universe has been trying to reach you, not through noise, through stillness, through the moment you almost gave up but didn't, through the door that closed so a better one could open, through the timing that confused you but was actually protecting you, not because you did everything right, but because you are held. Think back. There were moments you called barely making it, yet something invisible kept arranging the next step. Maybe it was a conversation you didn't plan. Maybe it was a delay that seemed frustrating, and later you realized it kept you from something that would have drained you. Maybe it was a disappointment that broke your heart, and it also freed you. There are people who look at your life and see only what you did. But there is another story underneath it, a story of how life kept meeting you, a story of how you were carried through things you thought would end you, a story of how you are still here, still breathing, still listening, still open enough to receive. That is not nothing. That is evidence. And today, we are not asking you to become someone else. We are simply guiding you back to yourself, back to the part of you that knows how to receive. Because receiving is not passivity. Receiving is trust. Receiving is allowing support to land. Receiving is letting yourself be helped by life. Some people think being supported means life becomes easy. No, sweetheart. Being supported means you stop abandoning yourself while you wait for life to behave. It means you do not leave your own heart behind. It means you begin your day from connection instead of from panic. And this is something you can practice. It does not require a perfect mind. It does not require perfect circumstances. It requires only a willingness to begin again. So let's begin. Let's begin simply with the first place the universe can touch you, your breathing. Right now, notice your inhale. You don't have to change it yet. Just notice it. Notice how it arrives without your effort. Notice how it comes for you again and again, even when you forget to appreciate it. That is already support. That is already life moving through you. Now, let your exhale be a little slower than your inhale. Not forced, just a little slower. And as you do, allow your shoulders to soften even 1 degree. You are not being asked to solve your entire life in this moment. You are being invited to soften your grip, because sometimes the biggest shift is not in what happens outside of you. It is in how you meet what happens. Now, bring your attention to your body, not to fix it, to listen. Is there tightness in your chest? Is there heaviness in your belly? Is there a clenching in your jaw? Just notice, and say quietly inside yourself, as if you are speaking to a child you love, I see you. Not get over it, not hurry up, not be stronger. I see you. Because when you are seen, you soften. And when you soften, you can hear guidance. Many people ask for signs, but they are too tense to notice the gentle ones. They are too busy scanning for danger, too busy trying to control timing, too busy living 5 steps ahead. So today, your first practice is simple. Come back to where life is actually happening. This is only a thought, and a thought can be changed. If you woke up with a thought like, today is going to be hard, you do not have to fight it. You simply have to notice it. And then, choose a kinder thought beside it. Not a fake thought, a kinder one. Something like, today I will meet myself with patience. Or, I can take 1 step at a time. Or, I do not have to carry everything at once. You feel the difference? One thought tightens your body. Another thought creates space. And in that space, there is room for help. Now I want to talk to you about what guided really means. Because guidance is not always a bright neon sign. Sometimes guidance is a quiet disinterest. You thought you wanted something, and suddenly you can't make yourself pursue it anymore. That is not laziness. That is your inner wisdom withdrawing energy from what is not for you. Sometimes guidance is a gentle discomfort, not the kind that comes from fear, but the kind that says, this is not aligned. You stay in a situation, a pattern, a conversation, and something in you feels slightly off. That is information. Sometimes guidance is a peaceful no. You could say yes. You used to say yes. You know how to overgive. But this time, your body says no, and you feel calmer when you honor it. That is guidance. And sometimes guidance is a strange calm in the middle of chaos. You expected to fall apart, and you didn't. You expected to be swallowed by the moment, and you found steadiness. You may have called it numbness, but sometimes it is grace. The universe speaks through your nervous system. It speaks through your body. It speaks through the quiet truth that lands when you stop rushing. So let's make your morning a place where truth can land, not just information. Truth. Now, imagine your mind like a radio dial. Some stations are pure static. Worry, replaying, predicting, comparing, regretting. Static. And the mind thinks, if I keep adjusting, if I keep searching, if I keep analyzing, I will find certainty. But certainty is not what calms you. Connection calms you. So this morning, you are not turning the dial to perfect, you are turning it to present. And when you turn it toward the present, you begin to pick up a signal, a quieter signal, a steady one. This is what it can feel like to be supported, not fireworks. Signal, not frantic reassurance. A steady sense that you do not have to figure it all out right now. The point of power is always in the present moment, not in what you should have said, not in what you fear might happen, not in the version of you who finally gets it all together. Right now, here, breathing. This is where your life meets you, and you can meet it back. Now I want to lovingly look at one of the most common blocks to feeling supported, the belief that you must earn it. If you were taught, directly or indirectly, that love arrives when you perform, you might have a very hard time receiving. You might feel guilty when you rest. You might feel uncomfortable when someone offers help. You might downplay your needs. You might say, "I'm fine," even when you are not. Because somewhere inside you, a child learned, if I need too much, I will be a burden. And that is such a painful belief to carry. So let's speak to that part of you, not with logic, with tenderness. If you have been the one who holds everyone up, if you have been the one who stays composed, if you have been the one who figures it out, it can feel strange to be supported. It can even feel unsafe, because receiving means you are not in control. Receiving means you trust something outside your own effort. And if life has ever let you down, it makes sense you learn to rely on yourself. But I want you to consider something. Self-reliance kept you alive. It helped you survive. And now, you are ready for more than survival. You are ready to be met. This morning is not asking you to abandon strength. It is asking you to soften the armor, because armor is heavy, and you were not meant to carry it forever. Now, let's bring this into something practical. When you wake up tomorrow, or even later today, if you need to return to this, try this simple sequence. Before you touch your phone, before you review your problems, before you rush into the identity of the one who has to handle everything, place one hand on your heart or on your belly, wherever your body likes it, and feel the warmth of your own touch. That warmth is real. That warmth is support you can give yourself. And then let your eyes soften and ask a question, not a desperate question, not a demanding question, just a gentle one. What is the most loving way to be with myself today? Notice the question is not, how do I fix everything? Not, how do I get everyone to approve of me? Not, how do I avoid discomfort? The most loving way to be with myself. That question turns you toward guidance, because guidance often comes as a loving next step, a simple next step, not a whole plan. Now, listen for the first answer that feels kind. It might be, move more slowly, drink water, tell the truth, say no to something, ask for help, stop pushing, take a break, be gentle. Even if your mind argues, notice the body. The body knows when something is kind. And when you do one loving thing for yourself in the morning, the whole day changes shape. Not because the world changed, because you did not leave yourself, you stayed. And when you stay with yourself, life can meet you there. Now, I want to speak about signs. People often want the universe to be obvious, but the universe is not trying to impress you. It is trying to guide you. And guidance can be very subtle. You might notice you keep hearing the same idea repeatedly from different places, different people, different moments. That repetition is not random. It is life tapping gently on the same door inside you. You might notice a sudden clarity about what is not working anymore. That clarity might feel uncomfortable, but clarity is compassion, because confusion keeps you stuck. You might notice a small opportunity, a phone call returned, an unexpected opening, a helpful resource, a kind stranger. These are not always miracles. Sometimes they are the natural response that arrives when you stop fighting the flow of your own life, and you don't have to interpret every detail. You don't have to become paranoid about meaning. You only have to become available. Available to support. Available to redirection. Available to peace. Now, let's talk about the mornings when you don't feel any of it, because those mornings exist. Some mornings you will do everything right and still feel heavy. That is not failure. That is your system processing. That is your heart releasing. That is your body moving through old grief. You do not have to force light when you are in release. You have to be with yourself. So if you wake up and you feel low, the practice is not to demand you feel better. The The practice is to offer yourself companionship, to say, I am here with you. And sometimes, that alone is the support you've been craving. Because support is not always the removal of discomfort. Sometimes support is the presence of love while discomfort moves through. Now I want to gently guide you into a spoken practice you can return to. Say these words inside yourself or out loud if you like. Let them be slow. Let them be sincere. I allow this morning to be simple. I release the need to predict everything. I make room for a kinder pace. I let today unfold step by step. I listen for what feels true. I treat myself with respect. I choose thoughts that soothe my body. I welcome the next right idea. I accept help in the forms it arrives. I move from steadiness, not from fear. Now, notice how that feels. You may feel nothing dramatic. That is okay. This is a relationship you are rebuilding. And relationships are built through consistency, not intensity. If you were ignored, you may not trust attention. If you were disappointed, you may not trust promises. So we are not making promises. We are practicing presence. Now, I want to give you a few everyday examples of how the universe supports you when you begin your morning this way. Imagine you have a day with many tasks. Old pattern, you wake up, rush, scold yourself, push harder, multitask, feel anxious, make mistakes, end the day drained. New pattern, you begin with one loving question. You choose one calmer thought. You breathe slower. You move with a little more space. Then, you notice you don't need to do everything at once. You prioritize. You pause before answering a message. You eat something nourishing. You say, I can do this in order. And suddenly, the day does not feel like a threat. It feels like a sequence. Or imagine you have a difficult conversation coming. Old pattern. You rehearse, you defend, you anticipate, you try to control every word, you lose sleep. New pattern. You begin your morning with your hand on your heart. You ask, what is the most loving way to be with myself today? The answer comes, be honest and gentle. So you enter the conversation less armed. You listen more. You say what is true without attacking. And even if the other person doesn't respond perfectly, you leave the moment feeling proud of how you showed up. That is being guided. Or imagine you are waiting for something you cannot control. A result, a response, a decision. Old pattern. You wake up and check immediately. You spiral. You attach your worth to timing. New pattern. You begin by remembering that you are more than an outcome. You choose a kinder thought. You breathe. Then you go make tea. You take a walk. You do one meaningful thing. And in the middle of that, you receive the message, or you meet the person, or you find a new option you hadn't considered. This is how life works when you are not gripping it. Guidance often arrives when your hands are open. Now, Let's look at something very important. Feeling supported does not mean you never have hard days. It means you stop interpreting hard days as abandonment. Because when you've been through pain, you can start to believe that difficulty means you are being punished. Sweetheart, difficulty often means you are being grown. Not in a harsh way, in an intelligent way, like a seed breaking open. That breaking feels like destruction, but it is actually transformation. You might be in a season where you are being asked to outgrow an old identity. The identity that says you must overfunction. The identity that says you must be the strong one. The identity that says you must do it perfectly or you will lose love. That identity may have helped you survive, and now it is time to set it down. Not with anger, with gratitude. Thank you for protecting me. And now I choose something gentler. Now, let's talk about inner language. The way you speak to yourself in the morning becomes the shape of your day. If your first words inside are harsh, your body tightens. If your first words inside are kind, your system softens. So today, I want you to notice your inner voice, not to judge it. Just notice. If it says, "Get up, you're behind, hurry, you're lazy, you're failing," that voice is not truth. That voice is old programming, and old programming can be updated. You might say back quietly, "I am learning a new way." Not dramatic, not angry, just calm. I am learning a new way. And then you choose one thought that treats you like someone worthy of care. Because you are. You deserve good things. And good things doesn't only mean big outcomes. It means a peaceful morning. It means a body that feels safe to live in. It means a mind that does not bully you. It means relationships where you don't have to disappear to be loved. It means the courage to take your next step even when you are uncertain. Now, I want to help you build a small morning sanctuary. Not a perfect routine, a sanctuary. A sanctuary can be 1 minute. A sanctuary is simply a place inside you where you return. Here is one way you can create it. You open your eyes. You place one hand where you can feel your warmth. You breathe slower on the exhale. You ask, "What is the most loving way to be with myself today?" You receive one simple answer, and then you choose to honor that answer in one small action. Maybe you drink water. Maybe you stretch gently. Maybe you step outside for a moment of air. Maybe you speak one honest boundary. Maybe you write a few lines in a notebook. Small action, big message. Because the universe speaks through what you choose. When you choose love, you become easier to guide. And if you do this often, something begins to happen. You begin to trust yourself. Because guidance is not only out there, your inner wisdom knows. Your inner wisdom knows when you are out of alignment. Your inner wisdom knows when you are forcing. Your inner wisdom knows when you are betraying yourself to keep peace. And the more you listen to that wisdom, the more your life becomes supportive, because you stop walking away from what supports you. Now, I want to offer you a gentle truth about being supported. Sometimes support looks like something not working. Yes. Sometimes support looks like a plan falling apart. Sometimes support looks like being redirected. Sometimes support looks like a delay, because not every no is rejection. Not every closed door is loss. Sometimes a closed door is protection. Sometimes a delay is precision. Sometimes what doesn't happen saves you, and you may not understand it in the moment, but later you will. And until later comes, you can still be held. You do not need full understanding to receive support. You only need willingness. Now, let's speak directly to the part of you that worries you're doing life wrong. That part of you that thinks everyone else has a secret manual. That part of you that thinks you should have it figured out by now. I want you to hear this. You are not late to your life. You are in a season. Seasons are not mistakes. Seasons have purpose. Sometimes a season looks like growth. Sometimes a season looks like rest. Sometimes a season looks like rebuilding. Sometimes a season looks like letting go. And your season is not comparing itself to someone else's timeline. Your season is listening for what is true for you. That is how you are guided. Now, let's bring this into a moment of quiet. Even if you are listening while doing something else, let part of you come here. Let part of you come into stillness. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel the surface beneath you. And allow this thought to land. There is a steadiness available to you today, not because everything will go your way, but because you can meet yourself with kindness. And when you meet yourself with kindness, you stop turning every challenge into proof that you are alone. Now, if your mind says, yes, but you don't know what I'm dealing with, I understand that thought. And I am not minimizing your reality. You may be dealing with heavy responsibilities. You may be dealing with uncertainty. You may be dealing with loss. You may be dealing with a body that is tired. You may be dealing with a relationship that drains you. You may be dealing with money worries. You may be dealing with decisions you didn't ask for. And still, the presence of support is not reserved for easy lives. Sometimes support is most visible in difficult lives, because the universe does not abandon you when things get hard. Often, it comes closer, and you can feel it in the smallest ways. A moment of relief, a sudden idea, a stranger's kindness, a phone call at the right time, a gentle no inside you that keeps you from overextending, a calm you cannot explain. These are not accidents. They are the language of being held. Now, I want to guide you into a deeper reframe. If you have been waiting for life to prove it loves you, what if life has already been showing it? In the way it kept you going? In the way you survived what you thought you couldn't? In the way you are still capable of hope? In the way you are still able to soften? Because a hardened heart cannot receive this message. And yet, here you are. So something in you is still open. And that openness is precious. Now, let's talk about the way you carry the day. Many people carry the day like a heavy bag on one shoulder. They carry everyone's emotions, everyone's expectations, everyone's needs, and their own needs get left behind. So today, ask yourself, what am I carrying that is not mine? It might be someone else's mood. It might be guilt that doesn't belong to you. It might be a standard you never agreed to. It might be an old story about what you should be. When you begin your morning with support, you become strong enough to set down what isn't yours, not with drama, with clarity. And the moment you set it down, you create space. Space is where guidance enters, because guidance cannot enter a life that is packed tight with obligation and fear. So make space, space with a breath, space with a pause, space with a kinder thought, space with a simple boundary. Now, I want to offer you something that can help on the most difficult mornings, when you cannot find the right thought, when you cannot feel optimistic, when you feel like you are crawling toward the day. Do not force a big leap. Choose the smallest kindness. The smallest kindness might be, let me drink water. Let me open a window. Let me wash my face slowly. Let me sit for 1 minute before I rush. Small kindness. Because small kindness is still love, and love is still guidance, and guidance is still support. Now, I want to speak to your relationship with yourself, because feeling supported begins there. If you abandon yourself all day, no sign will feel like enough. If you criticize yourself all day, no compliment will land. If you push yourself beyond your limits, rest will feel scary. So we begin with the gentlest discipline. We stop being cruel to ourselves. Not overnight, but moment by moment, and every morning is a moment. So tomorrow morning, if your mind begins with harshness, you can pause and say, that is old. Not shame, not fight, just recognition. That is old. And then you choose a new tone, a tone you would use with someone you love, because you are someone you love. Now, let's return to the idea of the universe speaking through stillness. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is a language. When you become still, you can feel what your mind tries to outrun, and what you feel is not your enemy. It is your teacher. If you feel sadness, it may be asking for tenderness. If you feel anger, it may be asking for boundaries. If you feel anxiety, it may be asking for presence. If you feel numbness, it may be asking for gentleness and time. There is nothing wrong with what you feel. What you feel is information. And when you listen to that information, you move in a way that supports you. Now, I want to guide you into a short visualization that is very simple and very grounded. Imagine your day in front of you like a path, not a long, intimidating path, just the next few steps. And imagine that at each step there is one available support. Not always what you expect, but something. At one step, the support is an idea. At another step, the support is a pause. At another step, the support is a person. At another step, the support is a closed door that saves you time and energy. At another step, the support is courage you didn't know you had. And you do not have to see the whole path. You only have to take the step you are on. This is how you are guided. Now, there is something else I want you to remember. When you are truly supported, you do not have to rush. Rushing is often fear trying to control timing. But life is not impressed by your speed. Life responds to your alignment. So today, you can choose a calmer pace, even in a busy schedule, even with responsibilities. Calm pace is not slow motion. Calm pace is inner spaciousness. It's the difference between moving with your breath and moving against it. Now, if you would like, you can speak a few supportive statements with me as you listen. Let them be gentle. Let them be real. Let them land in your body. I begin this day with kindness toward myself.